We are in the final days of playoff best ball here, so we got to get in good while we can. Speaking of, I've already got the draft pulled up. The Mitten 4 dangerously close to being filled once again. And of course, the games have to go on anyway on Saturday. So let's draft some teams. And let's start it out with a start I haven't gotten in a while. I'm getting the Influencer 101 here. Let's go with Josh Allen. Shout out to everybody hanging out here. This is suddenly a very crowded Thursday at 2 p.m. on the East Coast. I saw there's a Underdog stream going, is watching Pete with Brick on the Lowell stream, but you're here with me. And for that, I appreciate you very much, no matter where you are in the world right now. Because anyway, I would be drafting these teams regardless. I was pounding some Gauntlet 2 teams right before this stream. I am ready to go because we got to get them in now. I'm not going to fill any of these tournaments, not even going to come close, but got to get as many bullets in as you can. Got to spend that very not great BBM3 finalist bankroll that we have here as best we can. We back again. Let's roll. Yes. Thank you. Thank you guys for hanging out. Good to see some of the regulars back. Griffin, one of our newer regulars, who I appreciate, but thanks for hanging out with me, guys. I really do appreciate it as we go through here. And I'm just trying to draft some good teams down the home stretch. I was actually watching the ETR stream earlier with Justin Herzig, so we could talk about that. And obviously, I think it's important to watch a lot of things, and I'll sort of recap it here, point you guys in the direction of good stuff. But he did one thing today, which I thought was interesting, where he did draft a couple of bye teams. I believe it was Kansas City and Philly. Obviously, that would be the only two you would have. But basically, that was where he was going, was heavy on those guys early on. And then just kind of drafted a bunch of guys again through the wild card rounds. Then the hope is that Kansas City and Philly can carry you there. So I played around with a few things like that this afternoon. I think there's some interesting approaches to take out there that honestly are not the clean stacks I like. And if you're new to these playoff best ball streams, if you haven't watched them all week long, you're trying to draft, ideally, if you're doing an optimal build, 4 players from your Super Bowl team and then 3 players from 2 teams of the opposing conference. So 4 Bengals, and then you take 3 Niners, 3 Cowboys, whatever. You could take 4 Eagles, and then you would take 3 Chargers, 3 Jags. I don't know. Point being, that would actually be a nice little build. Probably not too unique, but nice little build. Point being, though, definitely that's the optimal strategy. But within that optimal kind of strategy, the 1 QB approach as well, where you're trying to just take your QB from a wild card team who can get all the way there. There's probably some merits in trying some different things. So will I get to try those different things today? Probably not. Will I get Stephon Diggs? Absolutely not. All right. All right. Let's build Eagles. Let's build Eagles. Because now I guess I'll take Gabe too. Fucking Gabe comes along for the ride. Gabe is the freeloading friend who comes along with every Josh Allen stack. He's the turtle of the Buffalo Bills stack. That is Gabe Davis. Will today be another get weird draft day? I mean, look, I will say I had an Italian sandwich today. I worked out, had that Italian sandwich after. Maybe a little bit of supplemental things to get where I need to be, but hopefully no weed clicking hands today. That's the goal. Drafted some pure teams. You got to draft some good teams here down the home stretch. I'm very lucky to draft very good teams on stream. Honestly, sometimes better teams than I've been drafting in my private time. So I would like to keep that heater going. And hopefully, if you missed yesterday's stream, honestly, going back to watch that last draft I did where a man named Grumpy Simon, username, I don't think his real name is Grumpy Simon, was in the draft, absolutely went head to head with me, was very mad at me sniping some of his guys. Then turned out he was in the YouTube chat. So we're making friends here. The Grumpy Simons of the world, making them less grumpy. One tickle at a time, one little draft tickle. That's what I give to the Grumpy Simon. GM, two more days till I watch all my Jags and Vikes teams go up in flames. I feel like the Jags teams are more alive than the Vikings teams right now. I mean, we've talked enough about the Football Outsiders playoff odds, which are free on Football Outsiders. I would check them out. It's under the fantasy and betting tab, and you can go check and see basically the probabilities of every matchup, according to DVOA, not just the betting markets. If you mix them both together, which I think the Badge Bros did on one of their Excel sheets that they've had, or Google Sheets rather, you can see a little pretty good picture of what the probabilities are of all these teams getting there, in concert. And I would say certainly that, the Jags and Vikings together would be pretty low. And the Jags are definitely higher than the Vikings, which is kind of crazy. But I think the Vikings still have enough magic juice and I'm like enough magic dust, I guess, more so than juice to get through. But that might be a personal bias thing because I don't think they're a bad team by any stretch offensively. Defensively, though, absolutely egregious. All right. I don't take Singletary very much anymore, and I don't see why I would start today. Especially when we got Dallas Goedert here looking like a snack. Let's take Dallas Goedert. And then we got one more pick here. We've missed out on Miles Sanders. That kind of sucks. So we're missing out on the good parts of Philly. I'm just going to reach for James Cook because I think the obvious click is going to be the lower or the guys getting drafted a little bit higher in Devin Singletary. But Cook, I worry that Cook is kind of taking Singletary's role. And I'm a Singletary guy. I had a lot of zero RB Singletary teams. I had a lot of Cook ones too. But it just feels like Singletary, there's pathways for him to get there. There's going to be a lot of teams that have a hot hand at running back this playoff. But I think it's very possible that James Cook might be the hot hand and he catches passes and they just don't use Singletary that way. Week clicking draft turned out pretty good though. Actually, I don't know if that was one, but there was a guy who tweeted me who was like very mad at the team I drafted that was like a full Cowboy stack. And he was like, Dalton Schultz and like Michael Gallup are going to help you advance. And it's like, yeah, like theoretically it'd be better to take Christian Kirk and Austin Eckler, but then you advance. And then what do you have if those guys both get eliminated? Obviously, those two guys can't get eliminated because they're playing each other. But I think that's sort of the way a lot of people view it is like, oh, you really need to worry about the wild card round. And it's like, no, you want to have a stack that can get to the Super Bowl that drives your success, hopefully through the wild card. And yeah, you can also play teams where you carry yourself through the wild card and then you end up with Philly and Kansas City or Philly and Buffalo or whatever. But I think for the most part, you do want to have your stack be a team that's overachieving, scoring points each round, winning each round, and then just kind of piling it up on each other. And like if Dak hits, which I had in that team, that guy was like not the happiest with me about. Always weird when people are like mad at something that you did with your own money. But like if you have Dak, like you're just trying to get that parlay right. So if I get Dak right, theoretically I can get Gallup right and I can get Dalton Schultz right. So that's the hope of any of these teams. Speaking of Dawson Knox time, let's go. So we've got some good Bills. We're missing obviously the greatest of Bills and Stephon Diggs, but I'm not mad at these Bills that we have here. I think now we can start to take some other teams. I've been trying 2-man stacks because when you have the 4-man alpha where you have a running back from your ideal Super Bowl team, then you can start to take just one receiver, one running back. And then that's enough to sort of get these teams you want in smaller stacks instead of having to take a full 3-man. So I may do that. I'm going to take a 2-man Tampa Bay or try to take a 2-man Tampa Bay. I think I'll try to take a 2-man, maybe a 2-man Minnesota. Yeah, because I can't take Dallas now. We'll see. I'll take some 2-mans, though. People emphasizing the wild card round are the ones that draft like the biggest assholes. That is a fair point, Griffin. I would say that, I mean, it's tough because there's a lot of people that just don't, we talk about the stuff a lot on this channel. Like Pete, when I just had to start this stream, was talking to Brick about like how to improve best ball and how to make it, more palatable for people and how to make the prize pools more interesting and all that stuff. And I think we're certainly in a bubble here of like people that really understand best ball well. And then there's a lot of people that are like, you just got to get good projections. You got to get like, they're like so myopic about it and so focused on this one thing that just doesn't matter that much. Like you're trying to get the upside, you're trying to have a full roster for the Super Bowl. And they just like, there have been guys in the chat, like guys who seem perfectly reasonable and nice guys. And they're like, hey, like at a certain point, you should be playing the min cash, right? And it's like, no, I would never do that. I'd rather take a 4-man stack of a team with no shot to make anything than, take 2 pieces here, 2 pieces here, and not have that base part that can drive you to hopefully actually winning something at the end. 2-man Seahawks. That's a good one. 2-man Seahawks. We do not have Niners here. Thank you, Max. Max on in this one sniping my guys, so he can, in fact, give me some good advice here. And of course, you guys will get the chance to draft with me in a moment coming up here once this draft wraps. I try to make it so like the draft is starting when the stream starts, and then we can do one together. But I think we can do it hand in hand. Just 2 pals skipping down the street doing best ball together. But I always like drafting with you guys. It's been a lot of fun these last few days. No collusion going on here. The Underdog's doing a stream anyway, so they're not watching. It's fine. But yeah, get in on playoff basketball if you haven't for some reason yet. Use that promo code SPLASH. Double your deposit up to $100 on Underdog Fantasy. It's a good way to get a bunch of teams in the Mitten 4 while it lasts. Certainly enough to get you some Gauntlet 2 teams as well. Gauntlet 2's got 200K up top. The Mitten 4's got 35K up top. So nice little prizes going in both those tournaments. So definitely check it out. Go play on Underdog, all that. I obviously am. As you can see, I'm here doing it. I'm doing it right now. All right, we got Fournette. Beautiful. So we got a Fournette Evans. Well, I guess we could start taking the Seattle. Maybe. Yeah. Let's take Seattle. Let's go. Let's go DK Metcalf and Kenneth Walker. So we'll get Walker next. I've been kind of curious about Khalil Shakir. I may just tack him on here for one more. Though honestly, Boston Scott makes sense in this build too, because I do need an Eagles back. So I might take Boston Scott just for funsies. Tip to tip. Yeah, we are docking here. This is the only best ball channel, only fantasy football channel where we're going to actively talk about docking. We're not going to, we're not just going to passively talk about it within the first 10 minutes of the video. Though I don't think I've cursed yet. So I think that's the positive because that always worries me with the YouTube ads. Like you're not allowed to curse within the first 90 seconds or something. And it's hard to keep F words not from flying out of my mouth, but we do our best. But docking though, they don't check you for docking. What if I have a channel that's entirely about either docksmanship of boats or the other kinds of docking? You won't hear Justin Herzig talking about docking strategy. I'll tell you what. It's funny though. I was watching this draft and and again, I really enjoy his stream. So this isn't me talking shit as I might about some other people. And I honestly really only one YouTube channel I actively talk shit about. But Herzig was doing his draft and he's like, I can't draft and deal with the chat at the same time. And I'm like, wow, that's that's epic. Like what a boss move. What a boss move. I'm here just tap dancing my way through every draft, hoping somebody will like me. Hey, you want puppet shows during a draft? I got it. You want anything else? I got it. All right, we're going to take Walker here. Get a little crazy. Take Ken Walker. And if the Niners blow up, then we're in good position there. All right. If you want to draft, Cole Beasley? I don't agree with that at all. All right, we're going to do another draft here. I won't do as many today, I think, but we'll try to get at least an hour's worth of drafts in, hopefully. Let's go. Going to count it down here. Hitting the Mitten 4, of course, $5 entry fee on Underdog. 3, 2, 1. This one filled fast. Anyway, I think Khalil Shakir is the piece you need. I was going to take him if that round had 20 drafts like on DraftKings, I absolutely would have gotten Khalil Shakir. But with Isaiah McKenzie being out of practice, I think that's kind of interesting. And I do think Khalil Shakir is a player that I've been intrigued by because all the reports from him in the offseason were that he was crushing it in camp. And I think people too, that was one thing I've talked about a good amount on Splash Play early in the year. And Shakir never really hit a ceiling in any way, so it doesn't matter. But like everybody was thinking that Shakir was going to be this pure slot guy. And it's like, that's his fastest way to get on the field if he takes Isaiah McKenzie's routes. But he's also pretty good outside. Like he's kind of a threat to start to take Gabe Davis snaps if Gabe just kind of keeps doing the nothing he's been doing lately. So Shakir kind of interests me. If he gets on the field and he runs good, I think he'd start to see more. And obviously that's a part of the Bills offense that nobody's really going to have. Like you got to think I hate the phrase, but the combinatorial ownership of like a Khalil Shakir with Josh Allen is probably much lower than it should be, given the fact that Shakir's like routes have been going up, his snaps been going up, all that. But Beasley is a safety blanket. So, I mean, we saw John Brown get a catch for the Bills, I think, in week 18. So anybody can do anything. It's just like, I just think Shakir is like interesting because you're kind of getting, maybe a Gabe hedge for the future. No, you're totally fair to throw it out. I think honestly, there's no bad guesses, like no bad statements, no bad viewpoints really with the playoffs, because the playoffs are like certainly teams try to lean on the stars as much as they can, but it's also like if there's an obvious weakness that the opponent gives up, they're just going to take advantage of it. So like if a Cole Beasley can get out there and keep finding space against zone or whatever, they're going to keep hitting Cole Beasley. And that's sort of the thing that obviously they would love to get the ball to Diggs. They want to force the ball to Diggs. We want them to force the ball to Diggs, but that doesn't mean that Beasley can't end up with a 5 target, 60 yards, 1 touchdown, maybe 2 touchdown day. Smush and 2 at once. Smush just can't control themselves. Doubling up on their name, doubling up on their on their drafts. All right, we're on the clock here. We're back to back again. All right. I think we're going to build an NFC core, and we're going to take some alpha receivers from the AFC. I like this start. Let's get crazy. I'm sabotaging everybody in the room. You all think it's so fun to draft with the streamer. How about when the streamer goes mad? Mwahaha. Shakir is probably a better replacement for McKenzie than Beasley if he doesn't play. I would think so with the kind of gadgety stuff they want to do. Like you can't give a handoff to Cole Beasley at this point in his career. You can't really do much other than besides, just hit him in the slot. So I think there's some more flexibility with Shakir. Shakir is also a better deep ball guy too. So there you go. Paul talking about the DK version, very tough 20 rounds. I talked about it earlier in the week, Paul. I absolutely hated that draft. I did one on there and was like, nope, I see no need to do this again. That said, the fact that, that's probably the sentiment of a lot of people out there. If you do draft a bunch of teams on DraftKings, like it's probably going to have a shot at overlay. You're probably going to have a better shot at winning it all overall. So honestly, I feel like the more I talk about it, the more I'm like, I should just do like at least like 1 or 2 more before it all closes down. But it's just not fun. And I think that's the kind of weight of it all, where if it's not fun, like, why are you not doing, why are you doing it? Like, that's not, I do these streams. It's fun. Like, it's fun to draft teams. If it's a 20 round exercise and you're drafting like nobody's, it's a little bit less fun getting sniped on absolutely everything. All right. We got the start of a beautiful, weird team. Love that for us. I do feel like some of these weirdo teams I've kind of I've started to gravitate towards. I'm intrigued by. Like, obviously these are not fun for a room, and I apologize to everybody who's drafted with me today. Short Gamer's got Philly, so he's safe. That's fine. I didn't fuck him over. But in general, like, taking chasing digs and then just taking your NFC team and hoping that the Eagles somehow get upset. I think that feels pretty logical to me. Don't put myself through the DK pain. Look, winning $100,000, I think, would soothe a lot of ills if you're in a draft where we're supposed to have, I don't know, 40,000 entrants. Is it going to have 10,000? So I don't know. I haven't looked. Actually, I should look while we're on the stream, because I got my picks coming up here. But after my picks, because I'll have more than enough time on the clock. All right, let's take a Bengals running back, of course, trying to pair him with Jamar Chase. And then, I mean, honestly, I can get the Cowboys here, and I do think the Cowboys have nice value. Let's take some Cowboys. Let's do it. Let's do it. I'm a believer in the Cowboys. The world may not be, the markets may not be. I believe in the Cowboys. Oh, God, let's talk about a statement that's going to bite me in the ass in just a few short weeks, if not a few short days. All right. Let's see. Where are these DK best ball tournaments at? And I am playing the DFS on Saturday and Sunday, because that's what you do. That's what we do. We keep getting up to bat. We keep going. Doesn't matter if it's only 2-game tournaments. All right, so DK's playoff best ball, 7,950 out of 17,500 entries. That's the 100K to first one. The play action's almost full, so people actually have sat down and done the $3 one. They've definitely battened down the hatches, done that. And on the wild cards, got 61 out of 270. So let's see, what's the overlay on the DK one right now? I'll do this math. Hopefully my pick does. Yeah, this is when you have the turn pick. Boy, you can do literal math, and just for all the accountants out there, great getting a pick on the turn. You can do your job in between. All right. 7,952 times 20. So they have $159,000 in. And then there is 300,000 in prizes. So they would need to hit another $140,000 in revenue for that game to not overlay. So it's probably worth your time to play the DraftKings one if you have 40 minutes to spare for a 20-round playoff draft. That's my ad read for DraftKings, who does not pay me anything. Oh, the $3. That's a second one that's filling up. Okay, so people are willing to do the cheap ones, I guess. They just don't want to do the big tournament. But that's why, I guess, if you have a bankroll on DraftKings, like if I were Brick, I would just be like, yeah, I'll throw in fucking 20 of these, and then also the higher dollar one too, because I don't see how that doesn't overlay with, you have to hit double the entries now for that format. Ugh. All right, we're back on the clock. We got our pick of Bills running backs again. We got Dak here. We got to take him, I think. Let's do that. And then Cook or Singletary. This is a tough one. I just take so much Cook now, but I'm probably not taking enough Singletary. So let's go Singletary. I did hear that, Max. I did hear that. I mean, it's smart. Like, that's what I thought was going to happen for best ball, this upcoming year. That was one of my predictions in like the offseason, was that I thought there was going to be like a best ball optimizer this year, and that hasn't officially happened. But if anybody's going to dedicate the time to doing it, it's probably Britt, because I think he knows, seeing Karain win, seeing enough people around our orbit. Obviously, I was a Best Ball Mania 3 finalist, in case we've forgotten about all that. The People's Champion, the uncrowned champion of Best Ball Mania 3, with 3 men left to go in a Bengals game that never played. Either way. But no, Brick, honestly, if somebody's got the resources to do it, like, he should absolutely just build an optimizer for himself and just use his projections, or just use ADP, make it draft a couple stacks for you, like force it to take a 4-man stack, force it to take something like that. I don't know. There's definitely ways to do it that I think somebody out there who can develop would do. And if we ever have enough resources, that probably, honestly, I might dedicate some time to that and just make it an offshoot. Like, I don't want to do fantasy products. Obviously, probably is going to be more focused on just pure expected value betting stuff and the best like live odds and those opportunities and all that. But like, if I have time and money, I'm just gonna be like, yeah, let's develop some things that would be fun for me. It would make me money. Well, I do a $3 DK draft on stream, a $3 one at this point, Fantasy Sports Dave. I think that'd be a tough one for me to pull off. If I'm going to do one, I would probably be a 20, but it's just like, I can't do it on stream. I don't want to subject the audience to, again, 40 minutes potentially of dog shit picks. I think it'd be fun as a torture exercise, but I think besides that, it doesn't quite do it for me. I'm going to take Zeke here to complete my core hearts at Dallas. And then I guess I'm just gonna take Schultz again. I'm a big Schultz guy. Or can I get Kansas City? Honestly, maybe I take Pacheco here and then just take Gallup. No, let's take Schultz. Schultz gets too much work. Schultz gets too much work. But just because I won't draft on DraftKings doesn't mean you shouldn't, is the main thing. Draft wherever you think your best opportunity is. And I would say relative to entry fees and all that, you might have a better shot to win on DraftKings if you can deal with sitting there for 20 rounds like you're being tortured. Well, if Dustin approves of the people's champ, that's fine. Again, it's just tough because Crane is so popular. So I don't know that it would truly be an accurate one. But, I feel like uncrowned champ sounds like spiteful in some way. And I'm not spiteful about it. So that's the tough part. But uncrowned champ is like what boxers do to like fire themselves up before a fight. Like, oh, I'm the uncrowned pound for pound champion of the WBC. Boxing is so confusing. I used to love boxing as a kid. And now it's worthless. Now I'd much rather would watch a UFC card, just have a good time. This team is pretty solid, though. Like, this is a unique build. Chase Diggs, Mixon, CeeDee Lamb, Dak Prescott, Singletary, Elliott, Schultz. So we've gotten our core Dallas 4, which is perfectly fine. Could make the case go Gallup over Schultz, but I think Schultz is in the mix a little bit more. Gallup, to me, kind of an upside play that does feel appealing in best ball. You can make the case I could still grab Schultz here, honestly. I mean, I could grab a Gallup here, but we'll see. See how the heart feels. Sometimes you draft by the data. Sometimes you draft by a structure. Sometimes you just draft by the heart. It's all you can do, really. Love these drafts, but can't for the life of me get the first pick. I think the first pick is overrated. Like, it's great. It's great to draft Josh Allen. Like, Josh Allen has got the highest upside. He's the wild card. Like, he's playing in the wild card, all that. That said, there is an extra game now for him to take on some risk. And I mean, he's not going to play a single road game. That's a positive too. I guess I think inherently when people are like flocking to one thing, there's always a good shot that thing doesn't work out that way. I don't think it happens like Miami beats them this week or anything like that's the spreads have gotten even farther. Obviously no Tua makes that a real tough proposition. All right, let's see. We can't get another stack here, can we? We can't get another 2-man. I guess I could get Andrews and Dobbins for like nothing. Let's do Andrews and Dobbins. All right, Andrews, Dobbins. Final team: Dak, Joe Mixon, Singletary, Elliott, Dobbins, Jamar Chase, Stephon Diggs, CeeDee Lamb, Dalton Schultz, Mark Andrews. It feels like kind of a loaded team. I think this is not a conventional way to draft, but I think trying to take off these little 2-man stacks, like I've got good parts of Buffalo. I've got good parts of Cincinnati. I've got Dallas if they do anything. I've got the best parts of Baltimore if they're somehow useful. And they're definitely undervalued relative to the Chargers, probably about appropriately valued relative to the Jags. But I think that's pretty good. Like the Ravens might be completely dead in the water. Like Lamar's wasn't practicing yesterday. Couldn't find anything about the practice reports today. But still, like they're in the playoffs. Like they're a team that's playing playoff ball. Fucking Anthony Brown's going to be out there throwing 45 times again. Though Huntley, I think, is going to play. And Huntley has been nothing. People's champ has to keep grinding. If you'd won it all, chances are you might not be doing these amazing Mitten drafts less. Oh, okay. That's a fair point, Dustin. I appreciate that. I mean, ultimately, I think I would have, but probably might have been a little more lethargic. I wouldn't have the same hustle to edit for sure. Like I taught myself how to edit videos. Like you guys, if you weren't watching the regular season kind of short form stuff we were putting out there, and I know some people prefer the live stuff, so I get it. I would say that, overall, like I think I've gotten pretty good at video editing. So I'm learning new skills, trying to bring the joy of fantasy football to us all, as I will do with another draft here, which I'm going to enter in 3, 2, 1. Clicking. We're in. It's a clean draft. I've been very happy with these stream drafts. Like I know they sometimes get chaotic, sometimes they go off the deep end a little bit, but feels good. Feels good. 0% Allen is kind of insane. I would admit that. How many are you doing, Sean, that you're not getting even like one shot at him? Because that's kind of crazy. Sometimes people don't. I guess now they absolutely do take him every single time in the first spot. During the like the period where it looked like they could get the buy, people were not taking Josh Allen every single time first. But I think I have a good amount. I'll actually look to see how much Allen I have, just out of curiosity. Is Gauntlet going to overlay? Feels like it. Let me look at that too. Hold on. I don't think so, though, because once the Mitten fills, people will then have to go to the Gauntlet. Gauntlet's 40% filled. It was like 30% earlier today. I think people will get them in, maybe a little bit overlay, but probably not enough to be worth any sort of, actual concern or feelings about it. All right. My exposures. I have 17.8% Josh Allen. 15% in just the gauntlets. So a little bit under the field on Josh Allen in the gauntlets, but I think that makes sense with how I've been drafting. But definitely not 0%. So I'm crushing Sean in his 30 drafts. Paul's hitting on a lot of the notes. I feel like now we get to do all the hits that we've talked about during the week. Would you be in favor of a chat to the side for doing underdog drafts for next season? I think there's some upside to it. I also think you'd see a lot of trolling. People get pretty angry and mad about stuff. So I would say that's the risk profile of it. And let's take, you know what? I don't want to take Joe Burrow. I have so much Burrow early on. Let's go Diggs. Take Diggs again. But I think this time, well, we'll see. We'll see what comes back our way. But I want to try that same, take a couple alphas and then kind of work it out approach. And we'll see if that can work this time. But yeah, I think people would get too angry if you like in these formats where you snipe a pick, somebody ends up then, like you've got, I've got the stack I want so bad, and the pick gets taken. Like they might drop some mean things. They might drop some slurs. We should know how the internet goes. So it's just another layer of stuff they would have to deal with and like moderation and whatever. I know for what working on with my app, like we were going to put comments on, but even that's like, there's going to be pretty strict rules. And it's just like, you got to try to prevent, people from taking advantage and doing bad things. All right. We took Diggs and Chase last time. Let's go Higgins and Diggs this time. Diggins. That's their couple name. But internet comments anywhere. Like I'm very, Pete and I think, and certainly, me as a sort of refracted spotlight of Pete building up the Splash Play channel. Like we've been lucky to have really good comments and stuff and have really good commenters and people who, go along with the flow and add in jokes and add value and all that stuff. But you go to some of these other chats, like even Stochastic, like they have their community and they have a lot of great people there too. Then you'll have some people who are like, oh, Vegas is idiots. It's like, oh my God, like how it's 2023. How is that a take? And I think that's the kind of thing that you'll find a lot of places is people getting really angry, people being really toxic. And I don't know if it's worth the time for Underdog. I agree. Diggins is a cute couple name. These guys are going to be tearing it up in Us Weekly. All right. What do we do here? I think we take Mixon again. We're going to just take the exact same path because I think that offered a good amount of optionality. Maybe I'll go Bucks this time instead because I did Cowboys. This feels like the bizarro version of what I just did draft-wise, and I love it. I think this is a fun way to draft. You get your two AFC alphas, just kind of build around them. You're not getting the QB, but QB is pretty volatile, especially if you hit on QB plus the stack. So I think this all like makes sense. Take some NFC alphas and build the AFC stacks because they're just better teams, the higher chance to win it all. I don't know if that's true. I mean, the most likely champion, I think, is still the Chiefs. At least according to Football Outsiders. The most likely champions, the Chiefs, then Philly, then SF. But then it's Buffalo and Cincinnati, then it's Dallas. So it is even amongst the top six. So I don't know. I don't think it's that big of a favorite, though. It is worth pointing out, though, like that's the top six. But Cincinnati and Dallas have under 7% chances, whereas Buffalo, SF, Philly, KC all have above 18%. So it is that top four, but we know that, and the expected thing so rarely happens. And this has been such a high parity year that like our guys at Football Outsiders were saying all off season long, like, oh, there's gonna be a lot of parity this year. How they were able to do that just from the projections and stuff, I don't know. But they were absolutely right. Like there's been a lot of teams trading wins, a lot of things that seem weird. The Vikings record alone is kind of a weird aberration. All right. Okay, we're not gonna do the Cowboys. We'll do Tampa Bay. So let me reach for Cook. No, you know what? Let me reach for Godwin. Let's get Godwin now. Hopefully I'll get one of Cook or Singletary on the way back. Bump up Shakir or bump up, again, this is the big debate that we had earlier. Bump up Shakir, bump up Cole Beasley. But one of those guys is going to get bumped up if McKenzie can't go. I think Shakir. This actually this is a time where I should take Shakir, a draft that I should. All right. James Cook gone. So we'll take Singletary this time. All right. So we've got our Buffalo 2. We've got our Cincinnati 2. We'll get Tampa Bay. Yeah, McKenzie not practicing is a big deal. I definitely have a good amount of McKenzie. I'm not sure how much. I'm actually going to check that right now too, because I will actually be curious. But McKenzie not playing is definitely, I have 10.6%, so probably less than has been drafted overall. But yeah, like that opens things up. Like that's definitely a lot of routes. It's not the toughest matchups. They could still force the ball Diggs' his way, but it's more opportunity for Shakir, for Beasley. I guess Crowder might be able to get if he's active. I don't know. More opportunity for Knox too, honestly. What about John Brown? You got to think that John Brown's not going to be active very much, but I don't know. He did have the catch last week, so I can't tell you. Really good QBs. That's the hard part. Like you see Mahomes every year as he gets better, it's like the target tree just kind of gets a little more spread out. And there's still Kelsey there, but it's just like a lot of guys getting not a lot of yards. And that's just kind of what happens when you're able to read the field that well and improve and all that stuff. And that's not like Josh Allen's like a world beater at that. He's not Mahomes on that front, but he still could spread the ball around pretty well and his mobility and all of that. Like a lot of ways that a lot of different guys can get there. So you can make the argument for any of them, and I wouldn't be mad at it. All right. Somebody took Mike Evans? Fuck. All right. We missed out on Saquon. I'm just gonna take Brady now. Oh, I hate playing a Bucks Super Bowl. Feels like such a boomer pick that has no chance to actually happen. Crowder's not gonna be active in the wild. I mean, okay, so that's fair. That's a good thing to know. I haven't drafted him anyway. Like he's not a priority or a part of anything, but part of the back of my head is just always like, oh, can that guy get back out there? And like he's a veteran. And sometimes that stuff just can matter for teams more than it would matter for me. All right. We lost out on on Evans rather. Let's take Fournette. I think I might just stick to a Bucks 3-man because all these teams are going in the wild card anyway. I might try to fill out Cincinnati and Buffalo. Do we have Hurst? I thought somebody take Hayden Hurst today in the 30s, like in the low 30s. And it was like, what is going on here? Like people are getting their guys more than ever now, which makes the ADPs, I think, matter less, but also in some respects matter more than, because if you're disciplined about your ADPs, you're not getting ripped off at least and taking teams that other people have gotten like much lower. Let's see what we do here. I feel like I could use a second QB just because I don't trust Brady. But I think I just have to stick with Brady as my main guy here. Gross though it may be. Honestly, I can put together Jacksonville too now, huh? All right, let's do Jacksonville. So chopping it a little thin in terms of stacking, but as long as I have the 1-1-1, I just need to have another 1-1 from my other guys. So that's fine. Also drafting a backup like Minshew on a few teams in the last round in case Hurts gets banged up again. I wouldn't think that's still valuable. Like I felt that way in regular season best ball, and I think it's still the same thing now. Just because you need that roster spot more. And like I would say, if anything, it's more worth it to do it if you have Hurts and then you want to get insurance. But even then, you don't want to draft like you're wrong. So that's sort of a tough one for me to buy into personally. All right, I'm going to take. No, I'm committed to taking Jags. Let's say Christian Kirk. Elijah Mitchell also does jump, but it depends on the room because I've seen Mitchell go like basically in the last round. I've seen Mitchell go in the 6th, 7th. Like I think It's interesting. And sometimes he'll go very early to the McCaffrey team. And I think that doesn't make any sense really because like it's possible both guys can get there in concert. But if you're taking McCaffrey, you're sort of betting that he's going to be this guy you need every week who's going to give you the floor, going to give you the ceiling. And he doesn't have that approach if you have Mitchell. And it's not like you're going to make up the points with Mitchell. You're just going to see McCaffrey come down and Mitchell come up, but not enough to beat McCaffrey. So I just think that's a bad play. But I think if you're taking Mitchell like as part of your Niners stack and you don't have McCaffrey, then yeah, but you're probably playing a lot of blowouts. So you should have probably alpha Niners with that. You should have like Debo. You should have Kittle at the very least. I would say maybe even the three of Debo, Kittle, Ayuk. Maybe Purdy too. Like maybe Purdy runs a few in. It is desperate times for all these teams, so they'll do whatever they can to get it into the end zone. I mean, and not that's not the case in the regular season, but like in the playoffs, like you'll see guys who don't run start to run a little just because they have to do something. All right. Got got our 2-2-2s. Guess you take Russell Gage to give us a four-man for the Bucks. All right, so we got a Bucks four-man here. Tom Brady, Joe Mixon, Devin Singletary, Fournette, ATN, Diggs, Higgins, Diggins, Godwin, Kirk, and then Russell Gage to close it out. That is that team. Let's get on to another one here. We got no time to waste. The Mitten's filling right before our eyes. 85% filled. Let's get in. 3, 2, 1. Back to making sound effects with my noise, with my mouth and nose rather. Did Mitchell have 5 carries in that last game? I don't remember his exact numbers, but yeah, he's not deeply involved enough. You know, that said, when they were both healthy earlier, when they traded for McCaffrey, the snap counts were weird, but it was still when McCaffrey was learning the offense. So I think people have kind of talked themselves into like, oh, this might be a 50-50 split. And it's like, it's not going to be a 50-50 split. That's not, it's not how it's going to go. You want McCaffrey out there because you can't split Mitchell out wide. You can't do weird things like, oh, a gadget play that's going to go to the outside. Like it's not Mitchell's game. So I think that's where McCaffrey is just a lot more important for how Kyle Shanahan likes to chessboard the whole thing. As long as there are no more Mario sound effects, I'm okay. Yes, yesterday, if you missed the stream, you did in fact miss me impersonating Mario ejaculating just for this. Don't worry, there's callbacks upon callbacks upon callbacks layered onto all of this, so have no fear. But it was a great one. I can't do it again. I can't evoke Mario ejaculating far too often. It's like when like those psychics who like claim they can read ghosts, and it's like I could only do it so often, and then oh, I'm so weak. That's me with except with Mario climaxing, doing that sound. We hit the sound effects point of the show. Buckle up now, boys. It's going to get fun. Yeah, look. Whenever I start making weird noises and sounds, that's when you know. It's when you know things are about to go off the deep end in some way. All right, Josh Allen goes. Was kind of hoping he would fall. All right, what can we do that's weird with McCaffrey? So let's do, okay, we'll do the NFC studs this time. So I'll take McCaffrey and then maybe like a Brown or somebody. I don't know. We'll see who falls to me on the way back. But I'm going to try to do NFC studs and then build an AFC core stack this time. Because I like the way those builds feel. I feel like you're getting a good amount of upside. I feel like you're giving yourself like a way to get through the wild card. That all feels pretty good. Griffin thinks that Mitchell playing as much as he did earlier in the year with CMC was load management. They've been resting him in practice every week for almost 2 months at this point. Yeah, that's exactly how I feel about it too. And it was also that, like, again, when he was playing, like he was still figuring out the playbook. They hadn't built in all the different packages they've used him in now. So I think it was just a different situation materially. But if people are going to chase that, then it probably makes more sense to like lean more on McCaffrey. It's just, you know, how much more can you lean on McCaffrey than take him in the top 3 picks of a draft? CMC and Jefferson, man, I just don't know if the Vikings even have the juice to get through one round. I've really now settled on, like, I took some Vikings early when I was drafting the teams, especially in that first gauntlet. And now I'm just like, God, I really think that might be a sucker's bet and that everybody's going to have these guys. Everybody's going to, you know, even if they're getting them at discounts of ADP. And I just worry that they might just lose to New York. Like, New York is scrappy enough that it could happen and it wouldn't shock me. And that's where I start to go, like, don't get too invested. But maybe this is a Jefferson spot. If, yeah, Brown's gone. I mean, Jefferson could be from round 1, and now they really left me no choice. Yeah, let's take Jefferson. Let's do it. We'll build a 2 or more man here. Ugh. I got to hopefully get one of Debo or, yeah, one of these guys on the way back. Wonder what the AFC core team is going to be. It's really just going to depend on who falls. Eckler going in the second here. So that's the Chargers are now out as my core team. GM to Lunchable Connoisseur. Appreciate you joining us here today in this draft amongst gentlemen. All right, let's say Kittle as the second part of our Niners guys. And I guess we'll try to get Dalvin here at some point. I'll just put him in the queue. Herzig puts a lot of guys in the queue. I'm terrified. I feel like Pete Denver puts guys in the queue, and I don't because I'm afraid of somebody then knowing what my queue is. But if you want to jump me for Dalvin Cook, then I guess that's your right as an American. Nobody wants Dalvin Cook, but I'm sure the moment I put him in a queue on a stream, it's like, oh, Dalvin Cook. Ooh, this guy looks pretty good. I should try to try to pick him up. I think Dalvin Cook, based on one of the articles I was reading, he might not be a Viking next year. Like based on the contract stuff, might make sense for them to get out from under his deal and try to get ahead of the cap hell they could put themselves into. I don't think that matters for the playoffs. If anything, that just would mean like they feed Cook even more and get their money out of him down the home stretch. But his deal like doesn't make sense for them to keep going, possibly unless they renegotiate. You don't see the Giants going bracket coverage, and Jefferson will eat if they don't. It's hard because the Giants D is like the definition of average in every possible way, other than they blitz a lot. And if they don't get home on those blitzes, like again, I'll say it every time that we talk about this stuff, but like if you don't get home on a blitz, somebody's open downfield, and that could be Justin Jefferson. So that's definitely a risk profile for him. But with how Cousins handled the blitz, like against Green Bay, I worry about that guy quite a bit. All right, we got our studs from San Francisco and Minnesota. Oh, God. This feels dirty. It feels like a waste of this strategy to use Minnesota for it, but we'll do it. We'll do it. And then I guess we'll go the Jacksonville upset route for my AFC stack. Because now that Lamar is not playing, I think the Ravens are off the table to me. Like, I don't want to take Huntley. And I don't want to take Huntley, and then Lamar's like, never mind. I didn't practice, but I can go. I don't know. That seems like a thin chance, but like there's still one more day, and I feel like you could play Lamar on 2 days, assuming he's been working, in the facility and all that stuff with his knee injury. All right. I think. See, now Purdy's still here, and Purdy's not usually here. The issue is the rest of that stack is now completely gone. Yeah, it doesn't make sense. Let's go. Let's stick with the plan. Keep going AFC. Let's get ahead of everybody and take Trevor Lawrence. God, I hope the Jags advance out of this first round. Oh, Grumpy Simon's here. What's he doing? He's doing KC Dallas. No danger here for me and Grumpy Simon. Honestly, Saquon might have made sense of this build because I could have just taken another 2-man, perhaps. But I wanted to make sure I get at least a full good stack from the AFC or, good. A team that's in the playoffs that could actually win their game. Love these kind of builds because of how ugly they feel. I hope so. I mean, I feel like there's contrarian value. There's definitely, wild card advancement value out of this team. So it'll advance. It's just like, what do you have after they advance? And does one of these teams make the conference title game? Like, I don't know. Obviously, the Niners are very live to do it. Minnesota, though, I just think Minnesota is very likely to be a one and done, but they could be a very good week of one and done anyway. Like Jefferson can have 40 points and then a bunch of Jefferson teams advance. And then it's like, oh, all those teams now are dead in the next round because the Vikings still lost. So like that's entirely in the realm of possibility. It's fun though. I really do think like if you have enough of a foundational understanding of what to try to do, and again for anybody who's just kind of tuning in here, trying to do the 4-3-3 builds, not like 4 quarterbacks, 3 running backs, three pass catchers, like four players from the team that's going to make the Super Bowl, 3 from 2 teams in the opposing conference. That's a core thing, and then once you have that as your foundation and what you're drafting the majority of your drafts on, that's where things like this I think it starts to feel fun, where it's going to be a 4-2-2, and then maybe I'll tack on another 2 late. Maybe I'll tack on the Seahawks or something late, just to get both sides of that Niners game. It's a possibility. I think there's a lot of ways to approach this that make sense, but get you different. So we'll see. I feel dirty after some of my drafts. As long as it makes sense, like as long as you have enough guys to fill out a Super Bowl roster, enough guys to, potentially get you all the way there. It's hilarious how much Purdy is falling at this point. Given how much Purdy gets sniped everywhere, because I took McCaffrey, because I took Kittle, nobody wants to take Purdy, which is a very strange development where honestly, I don't know. We'll see. Got to go at some point, you would think. But with the NFC approach I'm doing here, it doesn't make sense for me to take Purdy, even though he has now fallen quite a few spots. All right, back on the clock. Still have Purdy there, but we're not going to do it. We're not going to fall prey to Brock Purdy's siren song. Oh, he looks so seductive there. Maybe I should just. Maybe I should pivot. No, 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 no. Stick with the plan, Chris. Stick with the plan. Came in with a strategy. We're gonna do it. We're gonna do it. I was starting to think like, oh, maybe I could take Cousins and take take Purdy, but why? Why would I do that? I have Trevor Lawrence. He's going to the Super Bowl, and like I don't need NFC quarterbacks. I mean, maybe I need one of them, but I definitely don't need both. A 4-3-3 with quarterback, one running back, one receiver does seem kind of fun though. I would say maybe I'll try that next time. Imagine how mad people are going to be if I have three of the early quarterbacks somehow, or three of the ones that like you somehow get Hurts and Burrow, and then you get Trevor Lawrence or Dak too. That's how you piss off an underdog room. That's how you get Grumpy Simon grumpy again. Today we've kept him at peace. Peaceful Simon is what we're aspiring for today. Short gamer getting that Giants alpha. Saquon, Hodgins. The irony is going to be when Saquon and Hodgins combine for 70 points because of that wretched Vikings defense. Raise it trying to bait me into the big mint. No, I won't spend that much money on playoff best ball. I refuse. I refuse. But kudos to everybody who was going to play the big mitten, or as I would call it, the hamburger helper for all my for all the boomers out there who remember, as I do dearly, the hamburger helper mascot doing commercials. Now people don't. I don't think hamburger helper probably exists, but nobody fucking eats it. That shit was good though. I was like a hamburger helper fucking. I don't even know. Stan? I was gonna say butt boy. But probably too, after given how hamburger helper's made. That shit was delicious. I think it was like crack. All right. We got our Jacksonville. But no, we got to get more Jacksonville. Let's just take Ingram here. I don't give a shit. ADPs be damned. I'm just going to get my guys. Why are the Giants is the late NFC stack over the Bucks? Better weapons and offense and home game for the Bucks. I think the Bucks get dusted, and I think people are now treating the Bucks like they're alive to win a Super Bowl. And I think they're one of those teams. They're not quite at the Dolphins or Ravens level of like I think they're going to lose, because obviously the markets have proven why that's going to be the case, or have said why that's going to be the case. For me though, the Bucks, I think just everything that Dallas does well, the Bucks do badly. Even the deep ball, I was looking it up a little bit more. Like Dallas is really not that bad at defending the deep ball. They're just bad relative to like if you take a deep shot, deep plays are going to happen. That's sort of that's why everybody analytically always says pass more, get the ball downfield more, because good things happen when you get the ball downfield. But that said, like I just think Tom Brady's going to get hit a lot, and I think he's going to be in a dire straits. And I think Dallas, Tampa Bay's defense is good too, but I think Dallas is good enough to get there. All right. What would add value at this point? I guess I'll take Hawkinson and maybe take I'll do a full 4-3-3 here, because I think it would have been Seahawks otherwise, and I don't really want to take Niners and Seahawks together. I think the traces of crack might have been in the hamburger helper powder. I had Mr. Helper last week. The girlfriend loves it. Okay. Ladies love the hamburger helper. I know we had some college guys in the chat over the last few days. So whenever you want to win over a woman, just bring her over. I bet if you didn't tell her it was hamburger helper, like you're probably good. But if you told her like, and this romantic dinner I've made, like you had this elaborate dinner set up with a red tablecloth and red roses and candles lit, and then you just give her the food and you like, don't tell her it's hamburger helper. She's like, might be like, ooh, how exquisite. The flavors. But if you go like, oh, it's hamburger helper, she would just fucking spit in your face. And not in a sexy way either. Just get her ass out of there. Any video dropping for the weekend games? If not, what's the juice? Tomorrow, I will be doing that. Hopefully with Pete. I haven't asked him yet, but I presume he'll show up because he did lulls today, so usually that's a good sign. But I think we'll have Pete tomorrow for that. So hopefully we can just do a game by game preview. Probably do one more playoff basketball draft because I'm sure Pete's interest will be stoked by that. I'm sure. I'm gonna take a weirdo. No, you know what? No, should I? Should I take a weirdo? Do I still have Zay Jones? Is Zay Jones still available? I'm just gonna take Zay Jones. That makes sense for this build. All right, final team: Lawrence, McCaffrey, Cook, ATN, Jefferson, Kittle, Kirk, Ingram, Hawkinson, Zay Jones. I mean, not the most likely Super Bowl team, but still looking pretty good. We will get one more draft in here. I don't need to see R man rocks or B man rocks. Does he rock that hard? Not hard enough for me to wait for him to finish a pick. Mitten 4. We're doing one last one here, then I will log off. But unless you guys really charm me into doing one more. 3, 2, 1. Entering the Mitten 4. Oh, you've entered the Mitten 4. You ever mess around on the NBA Daily streets on Underdog? I have before. I haven't had the time to prep NBA Daily lately because I've still been in football work, and like honestly, Football Outsiders has taken a lot of time out of my day in terms of like just what I have to do. Like I have real responsibilities because I'm running everything behind the scenes and keeping deals afloat and all that stuff. So that's been very exhausting in training. In addition to the stuff with Probably, so something had to give, and unfortunately for me, that's been NBA. I would like to get back in the spring. I think what I'll probably do is commit to doing like 2 days a week where I'm just going to like play the full thing. The NBA is just tough because like, you know, for Underdog, obviously you don't have to do this, but for like DraftKings, which I like to play and I made the most money at like DFS wise overall, like you have to pay attention the entire night. You have to pay attention and swap guys at 10 o'clock. And on the East Coast, you know, dealing with the baby and stuff overnight, it's tough. But I love the NBA, and I would have had a lot of fun this year and also tilted a lot this year because the scoring is absolutely bananas. Like guys, 50-point games, 60-point games. Mitchell had the 70-point. Like it's just, I don't know where it stops. And I don't think it does stop because these guys are going wild and the defense is not there at all, which I guess it shouldn't be. Like that's the fun. It's the fun in football. It's fun in the NBA. Make it all flag football. I don't want to see the 90s basketball like I grew up with watching the Knicks and like, oh, here's Charles Smith elbowing a guy in the face so he can't get a layup off. Like I don't need that. Charles Smith seems like a fine guy. Charles Oakley as well. Another guy elbow people in the face. Fine guy. Fun to party with, I'm sure, but that's not the basketball. It's like the beautiful game. I think you want anything to resemble like the wide open soccer where it's like, oh, here's a beautiful kick downfield. Like anything that's kind of gummed up in the middle, I'm like, ugh, not for me. Let's keep it open. Keep it loose. Keep it. The other day was keeping it tight or staying tight. Now it's keeping it loose. All right. So Chase is gone. All these guys are gone. I think this is a spot where we might be able to get the Chiefs alpha. Let's see. Maybe not. Maybe yes. Weird start, though. Weird start for this room. Not a lot of times where all 4 QBs don't go in that first round. Fucking Captain Morgan. Why Kelsey? You don't need Kelsey in this build. Take Burrow. Take Hurts. Usually, so basically what I've seen a few times, which was enough for me to go for it here. If you get Mahomes at the 4 spot, there's a decent shot you'll get Kelsey on the way back. Captain Morgan here, too drunk at the wheel to let me get that, or too much of a pirate. Hard to say which. All right, guys. Let's blow up the room. Sorry. I don't care if one of them's going to be out in the divisional round. Oh, Joe took it. No, Joe Moore, my favorite guy. Well, now we all have to deal with a world where I have Patrick Mahomes and Joe Burrow. If Kelsey fell, it would have been okay, Chip. Fortunately, he didn't. Sometimes life happens. Great value on Mahomes and Burrow, though. 4 and 9. Ooh. Now, how are we going to make this work? How are we going to pull this one off? And again, this is really the main thing with any sort of draft. When everybody's zigging, you got to zag. You got to take the 2 QBs up top. This def calls for one more. Can't stop here. Respect the chaos. There we go. All sorts of reactions here. It seems like less joy overall from those in this draft with me, but I get it. Chip, if we can make trades, man, I would absolutely, I would trade you Burrow in a heartbeat. You're not going to top my Burrow Boyd Hurst stack that I'm going to try to get here. All right, I think this has to be McKinnon's spot. Yep, McKinnon still there. Done. Okay. This is gonna be not fun. This is gonna be a very bad, no good draft. I came back from a phone call to this. It's beautiful. Thank you, Poofy. I'm glad to be providing joy here with just wasting everybody's $5, really. But again, how could you pass on the value? You're getting Mahomes at 4, you're getting Burrow at 9. Then you got to reach for McKinnon, of course, to make it all make sense. But things are looking pretty good so far for this team. Can't wait to do you get to do media tours for winning the Mitten 4? Do you get to go on ETR and be like, how this guy won $35,000 in the Mitten 4? Yeah, nobody likes to draft 2 quarterbacks up top because it's absolutely stupid. I did it, and everybody else was so dumbfounded that they just let me get the rest of the players I wanted and weren't too mad about it. Oh, don't worry. I've got Joe Mixon. So if we have a game much like that 5-touchdown Mixon game where he caught 3 of them, I think it was against the Panthers, we're going to be right there. This Mixon Burrow stack is going to take me to the top. The GPP Bros version of Naked Purdy. Yeah. Look, here's the thing. I won't need Brock Purdy in this lineup. So good thing that Brendan got him when he did. And Chip, you still got Dak. You still got a lot of options for yourself. Cousins? You got Kirk Cousins. Oh, he went Dak. That's a better move. Go Cowboys. Go boys. How about them boys? How many of you guys think that the Bucks are actually going to beat Dallas though? Because I feel like I'm really in the minority thinking Dallas is going to win outright, and it surprises me. But I think there's a 70% chance that happens. But clearly the markets and this very chat might not agree with me. Damn it, Boyd goes. Boyd was a key part of this philosophy we were going for. Well, at least we'll get Juju. All right, we've now got our 3-man Chiefs. Guess we're going to get, all right, Dallas. All right, so this room is smart then. Good. Self-select. If you believe in the Bucks, feel free to drop in the chat. Like, I would love to hear the logic why. Some of it was communicated earlier, where it's just like, oh yeah, the Bucks are going to be able to throw it deep on him. It's just like, when has Brady done that? He's done that one time against the Carolina Panthers. I don't know. I like Dallas just because everyone's on the Bucks. That's also a good. That's the right way to approach that, Matthew. I'd rather have Buck stacks over Giant stacks still. I mean, that's fair because, like Jones can get there without actually creating value for his pass catchers, where if Brady's good enough, like he's going to make it happen for likely Evans or Godwin, maybe White and Fournette too. Maybe Kate Otten. See, Dak's been good this year, I think. I'm going to look up the Football Outsiders numbers, but I'm pretty sure he's been like a top QB in some metrics. He's been a top, I think, in like EPA stats, but maybe not in DVOA. All right. Now we got to build. First of all, let's just get Hayden Hurst. Hayden Hurst is always a popular commodity in these rooms, and I will not see him not go to me. A lot of production going to Joe Mixon and Hayden Hurst to the Bengals this season. All right. Quarterbacks. Let's see. So Dak on the year. 10 point, no, that's a VOA. 8.3% DVOA, which is 11th in the league, which is, I guess, not in line with like his contract or how people view Dak. So I guess you could say he's underperforming. In terms of DVOA on the year, top QBs. Oh, here's a fun one. Fun game for you guys. No prize besides my appreciation and love. Who would you guys guess is the top quarterback in DVOA this year? It is a guy with a minimum of 200 passes. So he did play a lot, though I will give you guys one clue. He did, in fact, not play at the end of the season. And in fact, like the last month of the season. Clock is ticking. Quarterback leader in DVOA. You tell me. The answer may surprise you. Womp, 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 womp. People got okay. Some good guesses: Tua, Taylor, Lamar, Lamar or Tua. All right, people really setting on Lamar and Tua. The answer is, in fact, actually, you know what? I got 4 picks. Let's share the screen. It's worth it for this reveal. The answer is, in fact, Jimmy Garoppolo, a 30% DVOA for a quarterback, Tua number 2 at 29%, Patrick Mahomes, number 3 at 26.5%, and Jared Goff, number 4 at 25%. A big fall off then to Josh Allen. And then down here's where Dak is a little bit behind Jalen Hurts. So obviously this is just passing DVOA, so it wouldn't account for Hurts' rushing, which does obviously prop up the value a little bit. But there you go. There's the numbers. And I those aren't free, I think, but footballoutsiders.com/subscribe if you want to check that stuff out. Obviously, it is just one day to take. There's a lot of them out there, but combine them all together and get a read on stuff. All right. Mike Evans still available. Beauty. We're going Bucks. I might have just talked all that crap about thinking Dallas is going to win, but the Bucks are here and Dallas is not. Mike Williams, DNP again. Chip saying Kyler. I don't even think we could have scrolled down far enough to get to Kyler. Kyler was real bad this year. Negative 6.6% DVOA, which puts him 22nd in the league, just ahead of Kenny Pickett, who is minus 7.7%. Where's Heineke? Let's see. Heineke is actually right ahead of Mac Jones. Minus 8.8% for Heineke and minus 10% for Mac Jones. So Heineke, not bad, but not great, obviously. Okay. Here's another game, another guessing game here. I'll give you guys the answer. I'll let you get your guesses in. Who's the worst QB in DVOA? And the spoiler, the little clue I'll give here, this guy is in fact very good at one other facet of football, but perhaps not as good at the old passing of the football. Ranks 34th out of 34 qualified guys over 200 passes. Wish I had things to give away. I didn't know this is a fun game. I love trivia kind of games, so I hope you guys are going to kick out of this one. The one I used to do with Pete, where I'd make him guess the things that were real and which ones were lies. That was very much fun. Next, guessing Justin Fields. Brent saying Baker, Fields. It is, in fact, Brady, good guess. It is, in fact, Justin Fields. Justin Fields, dead last, negative 34.5%. Got to think that's going to get better. You got to think. All right, what are we doing? Let's not take Tom Brady. We don't need that. Take Fournette. Honestly, at this point, I should just take Brady too. Go to a 3 QB build. But I think I'll take one more pass catcher here. Yes, shockingly, Zach Wilson is better, but he is still negative, obviously. Zach Wilson's 27th in the league, negative 15.2% DVOA. Anyway, I love advanced analytics. Very, very lucky to have the job I do and be as much of a dork for this stuff as I am. All right, what adds value at this point? I guess another KC pass catcher. Chiefs. Cole Hardman it is. Get healthy, friend. All right. It's going to be thin in the wild card, but Patrick Mahomes, Joe Burrow, Jerick McKinnon, Joe Mixon, Leonard Fournette, Juju, Hayden Hurst, Chris Godwin, Mike Evans, and Mecole Hardman. That is my brilliant, chaotic team. And I guess because I did ruin everybody's time in this draft, I'll do one more. So if you dare to do a draft with me, come on down. The water is warm. 3, 2, 1, entering it. In my opinion, who'll be the best QB of the 2021 class in 5 years? So we're talking about the Zach Wilson class. Wasn't Trevor Lawrence in that one? Let me see. Let me look them all. QB class. All right. Trevor Lawrence, Zach Wilson, Trey Lance, Justin Fields, Mac Jones. I think it's probably Trevor Lawrence. So the thing that jumped out to me with the numbers, and I am going to actually do you guys can treat it accordingly because this is going to be my first year doing it for real. I'm going to actually look into the Sports Info Solutions numbers for college football data and just try to figure out the QBs that stand out to me because I felt like I got it right the draft before last, and I didn't look that much into it this year because the QBs were all kind of like non-factors who played nobodies. But I think for me, I really want to get good at reading the tea leaves on guys' numbers and then to try to see what I'm going to want to see in the NFL. So I'm curious to see how that looks like for this year's draft class. Point being, though, I remember when I did all this stuff a couple years back with Trevor Lawrence, the thing that stood out to me with Trevor Lawrence was like he wasn't throwing the ball deep a lot. It was a lot of like yards after catch plays. So he's getting the ball to guys, but he's getting the balls to guys, and then it's just like they have to do all the work. So that tells me he's a scheme QB, but like a very accurate one. So scheme QBs were very accurate and whatever, but like can create value are important, but they need to be in good situations. So when Trevor Lawrence is coached by Urban Meyer, it was really bad. When he's coached by Doug Peterson, all of a sudden it's really good because the scheme is good. So that's the thing that stands out. For Justin Fields, like he was such a great deep ball thrower in college. And granted, he's thrown deep balls against college guys. And, also when he's able to run and like the competition's not what it is in the NFL, but he was a really good deep ball thrower and a prolific one. And like he and Zach Wilson were the guys that stood out the most on throwing deep balls. Zach Wilson played nobodies. Justin Fields played in title games. So like, I think Justin Fields would be my pick, but I think relative to system, like Trevor Lawrence will be a QB for 10 years and not give the headaches. Whereas like Fields can be a game changer for a franchise. But people think they should trade him. So I don't know. I'd give him a chance to improve and give him real weapons. Draft some actual good wide receivers, like draft Jordan Addison. I think it'd be a fun one for them. But anybody, there's a lot of great receivers in this draft class that they could take. And instead they traded a second for Chase Claypool. Yes, please like the video. Yes, please. I forget to ask for it because I just try to earn the views here every single time we go. But I'll pull up the neon flashing gift. But yes, please hit the like button. Help a brother out. All right, Jamar Chase, Joe Burrow, done. Bengals. Finally get Jamar Chase where I want him to be. I also like this one less of a friends draft because I think nobody trusts me after the Burrow Mahomes picks of previous times. But yes, please, if you are watching live or after the fact, subscribe to the channel, hit the like button, especially, and leave a comment down below. I always reply to comments. I genuinely appreciate hearing from the people who can't watch live because their jobs are busy, their lives are busy, whatever the case may be. They work out in somewhere where you can't be listening to YouTube all day long. But I appreciate each and every one of you guys who hangs out with me. So please leave a comment and, of course, subscribe and like, and stay tuned because these drafts are going to continue on. The content will continue on. And as I embrace my intellectual curiosity for draft classes and stuff, you guys will get all the data that I'm seeing, and you can do what you want with it. If you want to fade everything, knock yourself out. But I want to know football. I want my brain to be exploding with football knowledge. So then when Luka can be a quarterback, then I can really yell at him and tell him, no, that's not analytically sound football, Luka. We don't check down to the running back. Do you have a deep ball guy downfield? He's going to be such a little Zach Wilson. I'll tell you what. Based on his attitude right now with crawling around and grabbing everything, and he demands to sometimes eat food off of knives. I think he's a real Zach Wilson type. Yeah, Carlos, you missed out. You missed out on all the fun things that poor short gamer and Chip had to deal with last round. Oh, yeah, and Max here is Scratch My CD, finally not picking in the 6th spot. So there you go. The wins to go around for everybody today in the draft fields. The draft streets even. The draft fields makes it sound like we're doing actual work, though. So, yeah, we've been working hard out in the draft fields. The draft coal mines, really. So Thomas, deadly afraid of not getting Brock Purdy on the way back, takes him in the first pick of the 3rd round. Brock Purdy stuff has gone a little bit crazy. I'm happy I have the Brock Purdy I have. I'll keep taking him when it makes sense. People are really falling in love with a guy that was, in fact, the last pick in the NFL draft. Kyle, I do not collect sports cards. I do own a bevy of Top Shot moments that were unsellable, as well as a few NFL all-day moments that were also unsellable. But, yeah, no, that's sports cards are not a thing. I have a thing against hoarding, so I don't keep things that much, but I wish I did. Like I got rid of my entire video game collections and stuff, and that was very stupid. But sometimes you just live on the edge. The bad boy of throwing things out recklessly. All right. We got Cincy. Let's see what we can do. Let's get some running backs from the other conference because we do not have Joe Mixon. Ooh, fading Niners entirely in these contests. It's interesting. I think some of my favorite builds that I've had have been like Niners builds. Like I love Niners Bengals, especially when you get them a little bit cheaper on both sides earlier in the Gauntlet. The Niners Bengals pretty good. I like Niners, Chargers. I like having the McCaffrey Eckler there because if that somehow works out and the Chargers make a run, like you got two really good running backs there that are gonna. Boy, I feel so dirty, but you do have two really good running backs at reasonable prices who like can carry you, can have the ceiling, and then you try to get the secondary pass catchers go along with them. Or you can get the full stacks of like their teams, and there's a lot of ways to make it work. So I think there's still merits to the Niners, but it's tough because like you really do have to jump now to get Purdy. And I think that sort of decreases the value of what Purdy represents, which is a guy who's going to give you 15 to 20. And if you really get lucky, maybe he'll give you 25 points on underdog scoring, but he's probably going to give you closer to the 15. So that's a pretty big drop off between a Josh Allen, let's say. And that's also the argument why, like, a TL here took Patrick Mahomes over Josh Allen with the extra round and the fact that, like, Allen is such a good scorer. And, and again, he's not going to play a home game either, or he's not going to play a road game either. Josh Allen does look pretty good. Dazzle us, Chris, with your drafting strategy. I hope it's good. I would have liked to have gotten Joe Mixon. I do like getting the full Cincinnati Alpha, but getting Miles Sanders here seems fine. Like, I'll get some other parts that from NFC teams, I think that will look pretty good. But my ideal is like a Burrow, Mixon, Higgins, Chase. Like I feel like that's one that you have. You have a team that can make the Super Bowl. Like they did it last year on the strength of those guys. Same thing here with this team. I think I would like to get P Ryan late, but we'll see if that materializes. Zachler get more playoff snaps. That's a good question. You would think so, but I would think they might be faster to go to Josh Kelly. Because I would presume it'll still be Josh Kelly getting most of the run. I don't think they're going to call Spiller up now. I think you might prefer to see Josh Kelly getting the goal line work just so you don't burn that one Eckler getting stuffed touch that seems to happen every time. But I would think overall he's got to get more work. He has to get more snaps at the very least, even if he doesn't get more touches. Because like he can catch passes and stuff and be, a pretty big part of everything. I'm going to take Goddard here. So we do have a pretty nice little full Bengals Eagles grouping for the Super Bowl. And then let's get some more NFC. Saquon here would have been kind of nice. Can't really backdoor that stuff with the Niners. Let's take Bucks. Let's take Bucks again. Goddamn Bucks. The Bucks are too cheap. That's part of this too, where it's like, oh, the casuals are into the Bucks, and also the Bucks are too cheap. It just feels like you're asking for them to be gone after one round. Sometimes I only take two bye week players and then go 4 and 4 from the other side. That's interesting. Because as long as, again, really you just have to have enough to have that Super Bowl roster. So like I think that's actually a pretty smart way to do that. That's like a even more radical version of the 2-2s I was doing. But I think that's a good way to do it. Like there's ways to do this, I think, that would give you a shot to win. It's like there are ways to do this that probably aren't even the highest EV, highest advance rate, even highest like top 2% ones that could win, just because it's like you just need to get the right configuration that puts you on what the nuts are going to be. Like if it's a Seattle late, that's a good point. Maybe I'll take part Tampa, part Seattle, because I do have Burrow and most of that core stack. And I have two Eagles. Like realistically, I could take 2 Bucks, 2 Seahawks. Gets a little thin, but I don't mind it. Maybe I'll do that. Are there any payouts per round? There's a minimum payout you get per round, Chris. Like, which is what I learned. I didn't even know that about Underdog because that's how poorly I did last year. Before really diving in this year, but like, yeah, basically you get like if it's $100 to advance or whatever, and then you could win $5,000. Like they'll give you that $100 when your team gets to the next round. So like when I advanced to the finals of BBM3, they put $1,000 in my account, and then I finished in a spot that gave me 2,500. So then they gave me another 1,500 when it concluded, which is nice. That's a better way to do it, I think, which is smarter than like a DraftKings does sometimes for DFS, where it's like you'll have that Sunday slate, you're doing the main slate, and it's like, oh, I want to play the showdown. And it's like, oh, my entire bankroll is tied up right now and the main slate and the afternoon slate. And then you just don't play it. Like, I think it's nice that they like give you the money to get back in the game. Also, obviously, incredibly detrimental if you're if you're just losing it right back. All right. We got Evans, we got to get Fournette. And then let's go Walker. Let's take Seattle too. Walker, Metcalf will still be there. No problem. Yeah, they want you money putting the money back in the contest, which is the downside of it, but it's still user friendly and it benefits them. I think that's one of those kind of win-win things. I never understood that. Seems so minus EV by DK. I think it's just sometimes when it's like, oh, you're making so much money and things are going so well. You don't need to really worry about the margins like that, these little, outside use cases. And also too, like there might be enough people that just deposit more and then they get their money back and then they're playing that money too. So they actually might have data that like even we don't have, but that's yeah. Damn loan sharks. Hey, look, that's anything. That's anything gambling. You're getting charged a tax on anything you do. That's why if you make any bets, like the most important thing you should be doing is looking at the no vig probabilities from it. And then, again, this is what my company's going to be doing. So don't do it too much. But what we're going to be doing it probably is like you take the true probabilities from a bunch of the top markets around the world where people spend the most money. Then you give people one true probability for every event. And then you're comparing that against your American sports books. And your legal ones, nothing untoward. But your underdogs too for the pick'ems, all that stuff. You just want to know what the true probability is with no VIG, and then you want to know what your bet is, with VIG, and then you can understand, oh, how much money do you win when this bet wins? How much money do you lose when this bet loses? And same concept for fantasy too, but like for betting, I think it's just much easier to be like very binary about it. Mathematical profitability. It's the whole thing. Somebody tells you, this is actually on our deck for probably, but I'll use the analogy here. And it also makes no sense now because Tesla's fucking tanking. If somebody told you that Tesla were worth $500 and on the open markets it's worth $1,000, you should be buying that $500 share every time. So that's sort of what true profitable betting looks like. Probably.com. Get on the wait list. PROBLY.app.com. I don't do NBA on the channel anymore, Chip, just because algorithmically we get rewarded more for doing more football, which is what I learned after doing those NBA streams, just kind of crazy. But you don't want to confuse YouTube by telling it you're about one thing. Like even the fact that I do live streams and when we do short form stuff, like you want your channel just to tell YouTube we get one thing and we get this much amount of views for everything. And we want that to be seen by this many people. And then the hope is that it pays off over the course of time. And we've seen enough growth, like subscriber wise, that I'm now killing my own interest for a league just to make sure that I stay on topic here on the channel. And I love football, so it's like easier to do that. One day I'll do both, but not yet. I might do some stochastic stuff too when football season ends. Tell me an NBA guy, Bobby Portis. Bobby Portis would be the guy. As long as he's in, but no Giannis. So Portis, if not him, I guess Jordan Nwora maybe. But yeah, whoever the Bucks 4 is basically, because Giannis is out. Cincinnati, we got Tampa Bay. Let's get our Metcalf cruising. No, Metcalf is gone. Really? All right. And Lockett. Oh, Noah Fant is fuck. Get it in. Okay, we got Noah Fant, who I think is okay, but was banged up and not practicing. How did I lose out on both Seattle guys? Boy, I was asleep at the wheel on that one. How is Dalton Schultz still available? What a conundrum. All right. You know what? Let's just get weird with this one. I don't even know who to pick anymore. Trent Irwin it is. All right, there we go. Last draft for now. Hopefully I'll get Pete into some tomorrow, but there we go. Confirming priors. Great stream today. Thank you, Max. I appreciate each and every one of you guys for hanging out with me here. Of course, new shows coming every single day, all off season long too. I will find content that'll be worth your while, and I will try my best to not waste your time. A best ball drafts, rookie talk, all the stuff, off season machinations, coach firings. It's all going to be here on the channel because I'm obsessed with every part of it. So please subscribe to the channel, hit the like button, leave a comment down below. Follow me at Chris Spags. Follow the show at Splash Play Pod, and stay tuned tomorrow. I believe we will be back with Pete around 10 a.m. If not, I'll cobble something together around that time frame as well. But thank you guys for hanging out with me. Appreciate each and every one of you. And best of luck if you're drafting these playoff basketball teams. I hope the streams help. Good luck.